Can Iraq Army survive as Parliament voted to expel U.S. troop? Iraqi military industry opens production lines. Iraqi Minister of Industry Saleh Abdullah Al-Yabouri, Center, examines locally produced mortars. Photo courtesy of the General Military Industries Company. Iraq's military manufacturing industry has seen a revival in recent years, with the opening of new production lines that are supplying the armed forces with basic military products, a government official said. There is a plan to rejuvenate the sector, Ministry of Industry spokesman Abdul Wahid Al-Shamari told Diruna. This began with the decision to merge 14 military manufacturing companies into a single entity known as the General Military Industries Company, he said. The government approved the establishment of the company, initially known as the Military Industries Corporation, in August 2015, he said, and in February 2016, it began producing prototypes of mortars and 107mm rockets. An Iraqi technician works on the production of military armored vehicles at the General Military Industries Company. Photo courtesy of the General Military Industries Company. Over the next few years, the military industry will focus on producing combat equipment and small arms and light weapons, Al-Shamari said. At the beginning of this year, the General Military Industries Company began to focus on 4 integrated production lines, he said. These include a production line for the manufacture of armored vehicles, 2 lines for manufacturing anti-armor mines and reconnaissance drones, and a 4th line for producing various types of mortars, he said. The facility that manufactures military armored vehicles has the capacity to produce 180 vehicles a year, in collaboration with the local private sector, Al-Shamari said. The ministry is trying to attract local and foreign companies with stellar reputations and experience in order to invest in military industries, he said, adding that we have sufficient human resources. We only need financial support to establish more production lines and hence, diversify industrial output, he said. We have reached out to a number of companies, and we have serious commitments for investment. The ministry participates in annual security and defense exhibitions at the Baghdad International Fair, where a variety of military products and techniques are on display, Al-Shamari noted. Our goal is to achieve advanced military production that meets the needs of our military institutions, he said. We are relying on these efforts to meet the needs of our forces in terms of military manufacturing, Ministry of Defense spokesman Major General Tahsin Al-Kaifahi told Diruna. The revival of military manufacturing will boost the national economy, he added, as it will reduce the need to import weapons and military equipment and create job opportunities at military production facilities. We have the capability to initiate advanced military manufacturing, since both expertise and an investment environment are available, with the only other challenging requirement being financial resources, Al-Kaifahi said. Our military industries have taken the initiative and produced missiles and light and medium weapons that our forces are equipped with, he said. We hope that production levels are increased and diversified, because that reinforces our military capacity, he added. U.S. killing catapults Iraq back to aftermath of 2003 invasion. Iraqi factions threatening to oust U.S. troops, officials denouncing American violations and fears of a new Gulf War. A U.S. strike has catapulted Iraq back to the tumultuous aftermath of the 2003 invasion. The precision drone strike outside Baghdad airport on Friday killed top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani and his Iraqi right-hand man, Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. The world cannot afford another war in the Gulf, he said. The U.S. attack was the most dramatic escalation yet in a feared proxy war between Iran and the U.S. on Iraqi soil. It also opened the door to fierce criticism of the U.S., harkening back to the years following the American-led invasion that toppled ex-dictator Saddam Hussein. The narrative of anti-Americanism is coming back, said Reenad Mansour of the London-based Chatham House. America hasn't done something this aggressive in a while, so it has brought back memories of the American military occupation of Iraq, as well as the same language and discourse, he told AFP. Iraq's premier, Adel Abdel Mahdi, condemned the strike as a violation of Iraqi sovereignty and of the U.S. military's mandate in the country. Around 5,200 American forces are deployed across Iraq to train and advise local troops targeting the remnants of the Islamic State group. Pro-Iran factions had for months been urging Parliament to revoke the bilateral agreement allowing U.S. troops in Iraq, and Mansur said the strike could bolster their argument. They tried to use anti-Americanism before, but no one really bought it. Now, it feels like they have more ammunition and justification to make anti-Americanism a bigger narrative, he told AFP. Compulsory solidarity. Indeed, top officials in the Hashd al-Shabi, a network of mostly pro-Iran groups incorporated into the state, swiftly began calling for the departure of U.S. forces. Leading Hashd member Hadi al-Ameri urged lawmakers to take a bold decision to oust foreign troops from Iraq, because their presence has become a threat for Iraqis. Firebrand cleric Muqtada Sadr swiftly reactivated his Mahdi army, the notorious militia that fought U.S. troops after the invasion but which was dissolved nearly a decade ago. Qais al-Hazali, AU.'s sanctioned paramilitary leader, also called on his fighters to be ready following the strike. And Kataib Hezbollah, a hardline Hashd faction, predicted that the deadly raid would ring in the beginning of the end for the U.S. presence in Iraq and the region. Less than a week earlier, the U.S. had killed 25 Kataib Hezbollah fighters in retaliatory bombings for the death of an American contractor in northern Iraq. In response, streams of Hashd supporters laid siege to the U.S. embassy in Baghdad this week. Even Iraqi figures known not to back the Hashd, including top Shiite cleric Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani and President Barham Saleh, condemned the strike publicly. Some think today's hit clips Iran's wings in Iraq. The opposite is more likely, wrote Fanar Haddad of Singapore University's Middle East Center. Iraqi political classes are likely to align more strongly with Iran due to compulsory solidarity and some indignation, he said. The Iraqi premier said Muhandis, who was deputy head of Hashd and therefore a government official, would be mourned in an official funeral procession on Saturday. Iraqi state television reported a further U.S. strike in Baghdad on Saturday morning, targeting a convoy belonging to the Hashd al-Shabi, but there was no immediate comment from Washington. U.S. neither cares nor matters. Analyst Nick Heras said targeting the Hashd could have significant ramifications for U.S. Iraqi ties. It means that the United States is engaged in a conflict with a component of the state-sanctioned Iraqi security forces, he warned. Pro-Iran factions now have a political and government wing, media outlets, money, relations, experience, arms, human resources, and a supportive public, said specialist Hisham al-Hashimi. As a result, Washington felt it was no longer the most powerful actor in Iraq and sought to regain leverage through the adventurous policy of the Soleimani strike, he said. Ramzi Martini of the U.S. Institute of Peace said the crisis may have been caused by a miscalculation on both sides, with the U.S. overestimating the threat to its embassy. Tehran did not appreciate that the threat of another Iranian hostage crisis would change the rules of American engagement, Martini said, referring to the 1979 storming of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. The U.S. action also frustrated traditional allies as it was launched with little coordination or advance warning, according to diplomatic sources in Baghdad. Iraq's parliament will hold an emergency session Sunday, with lawmakers threatening to call for the ouster of U.S. troops. Iraqis realize that the U.S. isn't a long-term ally, it neither cares nor matters, said Mansur. They see a U.S. administration without a cohesive objective while Iran's policy is more fixed. There used to be a debate about who has influence, the U.S. or Iran. Now no one is even asking. Iran has the clear advantage. Iran to build its own tank Kafil 1. Commander of the Al-Abbas Fighting Division Maitham al-Zaidi stated that the aim is to transform these tanks into capable modern tanks in this arena. When queried about the expectations of the upgrades, Commander al-Zaidi gave a short list. Locally manufactured electronics and ballistic computer to enable firing on the move and hitting moving targets. Locally manufactured armor as well as reactive armor layer imported from European suppliers. day and night thermal gunner's sight as well as a 360-degree panoramic commander's sight. Import country not noted. Encrypted communications and anti-jamming suite imported from Europe. Remote operated commander's machine gun, independent of the gunner. Separate compartment to hold ammunition, similar to the Abrams to protect crews from breaches. Iraq's Kafile 1 tank under development will feature local and foreign upgrades with optimal crew safety. The tank design has been dubbed Kafile 1 or Guarantor 1 in English. After recent visits to the Czech Republic, the Iraqi team organizing the upgrades were happy with the international support available for the project to ensure all critical components were available. Czech company Excalibur specializes in upgrades for Soviet-era tanks, and discussions with Iraqi officials were fruitful for the project. Utilizing the combat experience of the Iraqi army, the team hopes to develop a tank that is very suited to Iraqi usage and provides for a niche that international tank suppliers have not filled. There has been interest by foreign countries in the project, as many countries have similar built-up urban and desert regions that would suit a tank